The Outdoor Gibbon Podcast, Episode 15, with Scott MacKenzie, the Skye Gamekeeper. Well, here we go. It's we're in buck season, and I tried to get this podcast out sooner, but we've just been trying to clean the audio up. Unfortunately, Scott actually had to record the podcast while sat in his truck, and I think the device he was using didn't really give us the best audio quality. I've done my best to clean it up as best as possible, but there's the occasional click and crackle, and sometimes the audio tracks off. But hopefully you will enjoy this podcast. We certainly did enjoy interviewing him, and if we get an opportunity, we will try and get an actual face-to-face podcast with him recorded in the near future, possibly going over to Skye and going through his simulated stalking day to actually see what it's all about and document that. I've also been plagued with other technical difficulties like vehicle breakdowns and all the rest of it, so added a little bit of extra bonus pressure to actually being able to get this podcast out on the weekend that I announced it would be out. But here it is, and hopefully you all enjoy. Welcome to the Outdoor Gibbon Podcast. Today we have got Scott MacKenzie. He is the Gamekeeper stalker on the Isle of Skye. Many of you will probably know him as the Skye Gamekeeper from social media. And he's well known for obviously Gamekeeper of the Year 2002, a few other bits he does. You normally find him at shows hanging around the best fox call stand. If not, he's wearing some fancy socks. So hello, Scott. How you doing?
All good here. Just another rainy day on the Isle of Skye, but on the first day on the west coast.
Isn't that the typical weather on the Isle of Skye? It's always raining, isn't it?
Seems to be in the last few years, yeah. I was just talking about this yesterday, that I think last time season was the wettest I've known it in 16 years of being on the estate. So it's kind of, it just seems to get worse and worse every year. Whether that's just in my head, I'm getting older, I don't know.
I think my memories of coming to Skye was as a student, and we went to climb the Coolins, and I think literally we arrived that night, the campsite flooded, and for the rest of the week until the day we left, it just rained. We drank a lot of whiskey, and that was about it.
That's as they say here, you know, today's rain's tomorrow's whiskey. So you got to look on the bright side.
So let's start. How long have you been a keeper, and how did you get to be a keeper on the Isle of Skye?
I started off as many in my generation as a YTS gamekeeper at 15. I started on my first estate, which was a pheasant partridge commercial shoot. I was there for nearly 10 years and kind of cleaned everything in and really laid the foundations for where I am now. That's a commercial driven shoot enterprise. And then I moved to North Yorkshire, where I took on an underkeeper position there. And 10 years of being in North Yorkshire, I worked and ran various kind of shoots, syndicates. I absolutely got a deep love, affection for North Yorkshire. It's a place I spent a lot of time and my young adulthood. And then kind of wanted to get to the west coast and got onto the Isle of Skye and got this job, which was offered to me on Fearann, Eilean, which is based in the south end of the island. And I've been involved with for 16 years, and I took over as head keeper stalker 11 years ago now. So it's been a long time. 31 years I think I've been within the industry in some way. So it's a long time.
So the Skye job, mainly it seems as though you're sort of the head stalker. Is there any other shooting you do on the island?
Yes, we've got woodcock shooting, which is always popular with kind of foreign clients, especially from Italy, France, But what we try to do with the workshop is we kind of limit the amount of days that we have on the workshop, and the season is actually very short because we all our woodcock are winter visitors. So we're not making guests really from late November. So it's kind of a short season that we have it.
So the stags are sort of the main income for the estate you're on, I take it.
I would say in the later years, the hinds have become the most popular now, and certainly the ethos that we have on the estate is because the estate has 2 hotels as well. And obviously, the winter months for the hotels are quite quiet, so we've always kind of been driven to kind of keep jobs going in the winter, keep the hotels open, the public bar open. And we've always known that Hotel Eilean was one time the only place you could find a bar open on Skye in the winter months. So it's been great that I can bring in guests for woodcock shooting and the hind stalking in the winter months. So again, that keeps the hotel open, keeps people employed the winter, and what would be a downtime for the hotel.
Okay, so it's kind of mutually exclusive then. So the stalking and the field sports that you actually do actually supply the hotel with business, and basically it's a classic example of how the Highlands keep working, isn't it? Really, the hunting sports and the field sports actually keep the industry going.
Definitely. I mean, as you know, people, there's this kind of whole image for those who don't understand the traditional deer stalking in the Highlands and Islands, that they just see it the wealthy to go out and hunt, and though that probably had its place in times gone by, what most states now are driven towards is year-round kind of employment. So obviously, with Fearann Eilean, the state that I'm on, is we have our own whiskey and gin. We have 2 hotels, obviously the estate. So we're selling an experience for people that want to come here. So whether those people are coming to have a break in their hotel, we offer activities such as the simulator stuff that I've created, a small playground that we've just finished building, wildlife walks, that kind of thing. And then there's the sport, the woodcock shooting, the stalking, fishing that we have. So it's we all help one another. We all feed in, so one business complements the other, and that's pretty much the way most of the states are kind of going there, because we're in a cutthroat market now, forward in the 21st century, so we want people to kind of come, stay longer, and year on year. So yeah, for me, it's been great building that up over the last sort of 10 years, that repeat clientele coming back year on year. And like I say, the hotel complements the sport, and the sport complements the hotel and the accommodation that we supply. So it's much more of an experience now that we're providing above and beyond the hunting.
Yeah, because that leads me on. You just mentioned your simulated stalking there. That seems to have been quite a big thing. You've obviously got the big steel targets out around the estate, so people that don't actually want to go after the live quarry can actually still do all the hill climbing and all the rest of it, but actually get out there and pull the trigger on a big metal target in some ways.
Yeah, I mean the whole idea that behind this simulated stalking was kind of always trying to find ways of making income from the estate. So obviously our sport is finite. You can only kill so many hinds, so many stags, and so we're looking at other things you can do in the winter months. And I came up with this idea of the simulator stalk, and then it was kind of 6 stalks based on things that you will encounter and deal with it at the point of taking their shot. So of a head, neck shooting, distance, angles. So it really gives it a kind of as real an experience as you can. So with doing that, and people then trying it, actually gives because you're out in the landscape as well. It's not just in a field or down the bottom of a glen and just lying on a mat. You'll be hiking out the best of gas to find the target, to go through the scenarios at each one, and each target is life size. So it's, again, as new as it can be. And that's proved to be very popular to the point now. What I'm getting is you've got the hotel guest want to try this, never fired a rifle before, want an activity to do. It also then gives you an opportunity to talk about deer management and the issues you're facing in Scotland that first I promised just now with management. But what I'm also getting is those that perhaps not stalked a great deal and then want to do more but educate further. They'll take a day on the simulated and then a day on the hounds. So it's kind of a bit of a refresher for them, if you like, or just getting a little bit more insight, and it gives them a massive confidence boost then in taking out to do the real thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's kind of great, especially on the education front, because I think some people see stalking as they're going to pay a lot of money and they're worried that it's going to be kind of over very quickly. They see these great posts on social media and it's high profile people going out shooting big stags and things like that, and it's like, I've not really stalked before. What if I get it wrong? Am I not going to come back with something? And I suppose the simulated is that option that you're guaranteed you're going to pull the trigger on something. It's a metal target. It also gives you the confidence that your shooting is there and it's accurate. And then when you actually get out to the real thing, it probably takes the pressure off them, especially when you're able to stalk in the landscape. And as a lot of people, I think, see, Scottish landscape is something completely different to anything else in the rest of the country.
Certainly, I think what you said there is exactly what it is and why people do it, and then that word of mouth gets around it. And it's great then when you do the first target, and then when we're hiking out the second one or third or the fourth or the fifth, you've got time then between each one, talk about the scenarios that we're talking about. It also gives you that good length of time to talk about gear management in Scotland. And it's amazing then that for someone who's just coming to a hotel to do an activity, they've obviously got a preconceived idea because of what they've read, what they've seen on the news about gear management in Scotland. And it's really nice then when they've gone away with a better understanding of gear management in Scotland instead of what they've read or seen on the TV. So it is really a good educational tool, and I've kind of tried to, other estates are kind of try and take this on, something to do as part of a stalking practice, because I'm passionate that, it really does help. And again, with people that have hunted more regularly, little things from just, like you said, to put a few bullets down at these targets, that's what we're doing. Like, we ought to take guests out to a target before we do the real stalks the first thing in the morning anyway, to check rifles and check that they're competent. But yeah, that may be a few shots, but if they do a morning with me on the simulator, they're taking a few shots. So
No, again, I think it's a fantastic way of actually, it kind of puts them in the situation, because as you say, you can take people to the range and let them fire a few shots at the target at 100 yards, but that's all kind of, they feel comfortable and safe, and they're generally going to be in a position where it's they're not being pushed. But when you take them up on the hillside and you go, right, you're going to be shooting that target and it's down there, it makes a huge difference, and they have to get into the position and all the rest of it. So I'm glad it's working, and it's a really nice way of, as you say, explaining to people the process of deer management, because I think our mainstream media isn't doing us any favors, and it's just that we're a bunch of guys out to shoot deer.
Yeah, very much so. I think only in this last 6 months we've been bombarded in social media, news about various estates. You have one community on the state fighting tooth and nail to protect their deer, And then we've got recently another community that are actually even talking and going for eradicating the idea. But the general public kind of seeing this only being a very small element of that. I'm not actually seeing the processes that have led up to that kind of, if you like. So yeah, that the whole being out in the simulator, if you can cover all these topics, it's become much more of an educational tool as much as it is an activity to do.
Absolutely, and I think that's all we can do at the moment. We're still in the minority, and it's probably getting worse. But yeah, every little helps, and social media has its upsides, but it also has its very negative sides. So yeah, everything we can do to sort of let people understand, I think, is really important. So moving on, you spend quite a bit of time at the shows, and you're obviously with the Best Foxcall guys. What's sort of the relationship there?
Yeah, I mean, I got to know Rob Frampton of Best Foxcall and Best Vehicle a few years ago now. So yeah, obviously with social media in its early days, there's pages there, and a few lads on when I first joined social media, and Rob was one of those. Yeah, from those very early days, Rob has come up to work with us every year. So our relationship is, been great. And off the back of that, as my social media presence has grown, I've kind of created like really the whole Gamekeeper persona. Yeah, Rob's been very essential in helping promote that and what we do on the estate as well. So over the last few years, I've started to do a lot of these shows because now I'm often at these shows working. So whether it's doing a talk for GWCP or things with other organisations, and as you know, I sort of brand ambassador stuff, but field testing and that kind of thing for brands. So I'm often meeting up with those that I work with. Again, chatting with people that are interested in these products. So yeah, it's kind of my relationship with Dutch Foxcall been a very close one, very good one. And when I'm at these shows, yeah, I'm more often not at that stand talking about things. I use it as a kind of a base for people to come and say hello and chat about various things that I do.
Yeah, because I've noticed you've been field testing boots and rifles and stuff like that, and it's really nice because actually you are putting the boots that you're testing through their paces. You're not sort of somebody that's just got a pair of free boots and wears them only at the weekends. When you've got a pair of boots, they're being used and abused and fully tested.
Yeah, I mean, I think firstly, kind of brands see the landscape that I'm in here on the west coast, and it can be brutal. It's very wet here. The ground is often wet even for the summer. So if you wanted to test the product, the west coast is definitely one of the places to do that. So I get a lot of brands with boots, jackets, trousers, clothing, and gear. They'll come to me and see how this works for you in your job. And obviously with the professional gear manager, land manager, I'm not, like you say, I'm not doing this at just weekend or when the weather's fair. This is a 7-day-a-week job. Anything I put on my feet or on my back is on my back and on my feet every day. So they're getting a product tested, used by someone within the industry who's done it a long time, going to give them an honest feedback on it. And as you're seeing, anything that I find, I really shout about it because I think, it's great for those then who are looking to buy a pair of boots or looking to buy a jacket or rifle or optics, getting someone who's kind of using it all the time. So it's a genuine kind of response to what I've been using. So yeah, it's unfortunate that I get a lot of people wanting to work with me, and I get to get my hands on many different products and use them.
I suppose it's difficult nowadays because everybody wants to put their product out there and get somebody to test it, but there's only so much you can test. But it is nice to actually get a genuinely honest feedback, because I think a lot of people would be given product these days and they're always going to say nice things about it because they've been kind of given it. And actually, one, it doesn't help the manufacturers if you just keep telling them, oh yeah, it was great, it's great, I love it. It doesn't actually give them the honest feedback to say, well, no, it's really uncomfortable and this leaks and that doesn't do that. But you never really see the truth. But at the end of the day, if you've got a product and it is working and you're feeding back to people, then that's kind of one of the biggest keys with this stuff these days.
Yeah, definitely. So you'll kind of see it. You'll see people kind of have to collaborate with a company over a product, and that some of these people, that's not people that only going out once or twice a week. It's because it's not their job, and I'm not knocking that, but it's kind of, it's not a real that's what these things could do. What I will say is, I don't think there's any really products out there now. Most things are of a certain standard. That's pretty good. Some things may not work for some people and their setups and background, but it may work fantastic for others. So I always kind of urge people to bear that in mind. But there's nothing really horrendous out there. They just they work for you or they don't. So it's kind of, I've been sent to me and I've kind of used them, and it doesn't work for me. Use, and you try something like that, and then I've seen it advertised as something that's working really well for them. So yeah, I think it's especially with the Fearann world just now. There are many different setups now for Fearann, and some work for one person but don't work for others. So yeah, you spend a lot of money, especially do your kind of homework and actually talk to people that kind of test these things. And engage with them and talk to a few folk and see what they're saying.
Yeah, I suppose exactly that. Most of the kit is built, and technology's moved on a long way since probably when you started out in your career. But yeah, if it works for you 365 days a year, the average recreational stalker for their couple of weekends out stalking, it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Well, that's it. You kind of if you're using a product, whether it be clothing, rifle, optics, a couple of times a week, then you look after it. It's going to last you a lifetime. A lot of the products, especially with clothing, if they do me 2 seasons, normally buy them to pull them apart. But yeah, I kind of you're buying a pair of boots based on a recommendation that I've given you, then, and you're doing a couple of times a week, they're going to last you a long time as long as you look after them. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair, because I normally get through a pair of boots a year, and I finally found a pair of boots that have done 18 months, so I'm quite chuffed to bits with that. Really, it's and especially being a sort of larger, well, not larger, but a heavy set lad, it's when you put that much weight on a pair of boots, it does start to kill them, and that's always been my thing. And the same with everything else. You look after your rifles, it'll look after you. It's how you treat your kit. And I think some people have got the opinion that you buy it and it's just supposed to work, and it's like, well, no, sometimes you need to reproof your boots or reproof your waterproofs, and they'll give you a little bit longer in their life, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the key to got to look after your thing. I've seen it. I've heard it all too often where people complain about something, and especially with boots, will keep the tooth and what does the tooth do? Well, I'm paying this kind of money, then I shouldn't have to do this. Well, no, that's the thing. Even longevity. So yeah, it's almost training people. That part of kit management as well. That's the overlooked thing.
I suppose it's the thing. It's like you've got a car. you've paid all that money for it, you've kind of got to take it in for a service, because if you don't, it'll stop working. But yeah, it's just getting people into that mentality, I suppose. It's a tricky one. So moving forward, obviously you won the Gamekeeper of the Year. Was that 2022?
Yes, I first won it in 2019, and again in 2022.
And so what sort of that done for you, and how did that come about?
I mean, well, it's been great for me. You know, it's kind of a recognition of, I would say it's not just a recognition of myself, but it's a recognition of the estate and the team that I work with. Because it is what we do on the estate is very much a team effort to make a day happen for somebody. So it's recognition of that, you know, and it's helped me immensely. Many things, and I kind of use that and the other awards that we've done to help push a message, whether that with your management, our management, working with organisations, you know, you kind of recognise for winning these kind of things, and I'll use it for the good of that. I mean, it kind of all came about when, again, you know nothing about the nomination process. You get kind of a message come through from the great British shooting show that you've been shortlisted. And then obviously you kind of, it goes to a public vote, which is nice, because I think if the public are voting for you, then you know, these are people that obviously follow you, know you, and see what you do, and think that you're a deservedly worthy winner. So it's nice that people take the time to vote for you. So yeah, it's been great for me, and I was nominated again for this year, unfortunately this year, but no, it's a nice thing to be recognised for.
No, that's fantastic, and yeah, to not know you've been put forward and then to win it, and to get that twice, it obviously shows that people respect what you're doing, and you've made an impression along the lines. Now, you've been posting on social media that your daughter's starting to get into keepering and stuff like that, which is great to see. How do you feel about it for her future and going forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got 4 daughters, and Orla, who's the one who's interested in the gamekeeping world and management. She's 15 in June, so yeah, she's kind of really jumped headlong into this, kind of wanting to do this as a career. So it's great for me to have one of my children show an interest in that. And they all have to be fair, and they've all come out with me to do sporting and doing things that work with me, but all have shown up with real passion and interest. So it's nice that, you know, I'm able to help her and kind of push in the right direction. And it goes back to what we're saying, you know, I'm working with organisations, I'm working with bands. So that is something I didn't have, and it's a bit of a different system when I first started. One of the main differences is I didn't have that kind of help and support. I had the help and support of my parents. I had, you know, people that I was working with, but you know, as a wider thing, so it's been great that I can showcase what she's doing and offers to help her in her journey, and that's really nice. That's really humbling that, you know, so many companies out there, individuals, organisations that offer to help and support her. So that's great for her, because I think so many, you know, youngsters wanting to come into the industry, we need to give more the help and support that we can to show them that, you know, this industry could be a part of. So things have changed since when I started, more positively, I think, because we've got a lot of young girls that come into it. The industry now is just fantastic for that, you know, whatever form of our management. I didn't see that at all.
I think, yeah, as you say, the world has changed slightly. Probably when you started out in keepering, it was a predominantly male industry, and it was a very different life. And I think over the last number of years, we've seen more and more females and ladies come into field sports, and definitely into keepering and along those lines. And it's now becoming more accepted, which is great because it's opening it up, and it just makes it makes it a breath of fresh air, because I think the male dominated side of things can sometimes be it can have a bit of a stigma to it.
Oh, definitely. And having this kind of conversation with a friend the other day that, I've never seen myself as much of a great teacher at all. I tried my best as I can when we've had youngsters come onto the set and want to do things. But it goes kind of hand in hand with how you take a guest out on the hill and how you treat them on the day, and giving them the confidence to do what you come to do and what you ask them to do. So I think that leads into where we have youngsters come up through the ranks and when I was younger, it was male dominated, and for want of a better word, it was pretty brutal at times. You were kind of lots of shouting, lots of telling you how useless you were, and I saw many young lads in the first year of the race just fall by the wayside because they were much play. Some of those old boys could be hellish. So that's changing. There's still elements of that. I think we need to kind of remind everybody. We'll shout about protecting our industry, protecting our sport. Then we need to take a different approach with youngsters. Okay? So I'm not saying we need to be soft or man-dependent, but we definitely need to kind of educate the encouragement rather than calling and shouting to do something wrong. Definitely, if they're consistently doing the wrong thing, it's a reflection of how the person treats them rather than the individual making a mistake. So definitely, I think as time's gone on, the things are changing. And it's great to see lots of young girls coming through. I was at a last Gamekeepers day down at Blair After the other day there, and there was lots of students. So it was really kind of nice to see a good mate of those students with young girls as well.
There's still that issue though with social media. I feel that as soon as you're a young lady that starts posting stuff online, they get a barrage of, sometimes it's lots of comments of you're doing really well, brilliant, but you also do seem to get a lot of negative press. And I don't know how your daughter, how with her social media site is experiencing that, but it just seems there's a lot of jealousy out there, I think, from males that I don't think kind of get it.
Definitely. I mean, Orla hasn't had any negativity with the kind of the page that started to talk about her journey just yet. I kind of brought the feed with it that, I've had it and I still continue to get it. And it's amazing the amount of roasters that still give me abuse with them. And these are kind of fair weather hunters that player tips. So they're kind of, I still get my time. So I've kind of tried to educate on how to deal with that. And block and delete is a marvellous thing. But no, like you say, it's kind of, you do see it, especially with a lot of the young women in general who are involved in the industry, posting about what they do. I do see some of the negative things. And like I said before, a lot of that is the old school ways coming through. And I'm hopeful that as time goes on, that will die out. It has to, if we're going to, it needs to, if we want to keep this industry going, compare and peaceful, and a kind of a future for our sport and for traditional land management.
No, absolutely, and I think it's still a struggle because there's far too many armchair shooters that just sit behind a keyboard and they think they are gods of the deer stalking and gamekeeping society. But it's when you actually get them out in the real world, they're as quiet as a mouse, and their experience really doesn't add up. But when you put them behind a screen and a keyboard, they'll tell you everything about what you're doing wrong and all the rest of it.
I've always been amazed at how many people claim to be gamekeepers. Yeah, I've been in the industry a long time now, and I'm still learning loads as the seasons go on. I never stop learning this stuff, and I've got a lot of respect for my peers that have done before me in the industry, and I'm very protective of it. I'm very proud of it, and it's an amazing industry. It's tremendous for me and my family. Given us so much joy, over the years, and I think that's why I'm very protective of it. So when I kind of see people claiming to be this, that, and the other, I'm looking at some really terrible stuff. That's what generally gets picked up by the general public then, and taking that we're all this kind of way of thinking and about our lives. And actually, it's not. The genuine gamekeeper is just like anybody else. They're a family man, they're a husband, they're a wife, and they're children. They live in a community. So, yeah, we just need to weed out those individuals. Give the industry a bad name.
No, absolutely. So I believe we're just recording this before, probably about 2 weeks before the stalking show. You're going to be heading down there again. What was your sort of feelings on that, as it was the first time it ran last year, and it's its second birthday, really?
Yeah, I think David and his team have done an amazing job there. I won't lie, at first, when David I met David, I think it was the year before the game fair. From the debate, his idea and what he was doing, and I was kind of skeptical. I've seen these kind of shows try to start because it is a hard kind of thing to gather momentum and get to any size if you just kind of basing it on one element of the industry. But myself and Rob went along. I know Rob obviously had his fans there, and I was really, really pleased for David and his team that it was such a great show, and lots of people came along and attended, and feedback was phenomenal. And I was pleased for David and his team. Lots of people came away saying that was a great show, and I think it's proved it now for the second year. It's only even bigger, more and more people. And as I've got to know David over 18 months, I know how much work he puts into it. It's his passion, and I say you can actually, if you're going to get a great show, you've got to have a real passion. You see that with David. He's done a marvellous job there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it again. And it's going to be good. It'll be great.
No, it definitely was something nice to catch, and for me, it was obviously it's a fair old trek for both of us from where we are in the north of the country. But it's always nice to be able to get to something like that, catch up with people you haven't seen for a long time, and just a relatively quiet, straightforward day, lots to see, and hopefully, as you said, this year it's going to be bigger and better.
I think so, and we've got the status got us down there now, so we're going to be there trying. Whiskey and gin, I'll be there talking about what we do on the estate and our hotels and everything. And I really don't need to push inside of the estate because it is pretty much great the season with my return clients. But I still like to shout about the things that we do, the experiences that we can offer. And even if people just want to come for a break for a hotel, that's what I talk about. So having a place like the Stalking Show to do that, great, and I think a lot of the traders now are going to support the David industry.
Fantastic. So going forward for the next sort of the rest of the year, is there any big plans that you'll be up to? Anything exciting coming on the estate? Any new things?
As I touched on before, we just kind of set up a Stormbird scientific shoot on the estate. Still lots of work to do to it, but we've kind of got that up and running just now. So it's another activity that we can offer people and they can stay at the hotel. That's the kind of thing I've been working on the last 12 months, and now I'm really trying to push that so we can get some return off that, pushing it along with the simulated. So, because it is, those both activities are great to do. That's kind of what we're going forward with. But to be honest, I'm going to be forward, trying to make the experiences even better if we can do that with the surfing days. I'm pretty much booked out now for this kind of season on the Skye and on the Hinds. We're always looking at kind of ways we can add value to a day on the hill, with the whole package of food, drink, accommodation. So it's that's pretty much what I'll be working towards. Planning is starting just now on the island, so I'll be busy with kind of box management, that kind of thing. But for the next few weeks, I'll turn into a zombie.
That's always one thing, that because Skye became really popular with tourists, because of the films and all the rest of it. Skye really became over popular, didn't it? Does that have much effect on your day-to-day life out there?
There's like this kind of spring summer months, and it's one of these things that I kind of discussed with local MSP, tourist board, and everyone involved in tourism really. Is that, so we, as an estate, as a business, that's fundamentally what we are. We are a business, and as a business, we need to make income. Part of that income is through tourism, and part of that income is through supporting and other activities that we do in the state. There's very much work in the state, investing and farming and management ventures. So it's kind of, we've had the impacts that I've suffered over the last few years. We used to store stags in August. Pretty much can't do that now, because with us being on a peninsula, it doesn't take long for someone to walk from one side of it to the other and completely clear the hill. And so that disturbance on a land management point is pretty annoying. We've kind of given up now taking bookings in August on the stags.
Right.
But ducks down on one of our wee lockings. Then what started to happen? Wild swimming and kayaking on it. So again, you sometimes feel that you're, as a business, you're making all the concessions, taking the hit to allow those visitors to enjoy their right to that stuff. That kind of never gets really talked about. You're constantly on the back, but you're there taking the extra hits. Not really much you can do about it. And people not really, those in power, not really wanting to do anything about it. And so that's kind of frustrating. So that can be quite hard to deal with. It's not just tourism that we have to manage it. It's just people driving out for access ways. So we get a huge amount of geology students who are part of the estate. Geology is so rich. And over the years, I've watched that grow immensely. Many universities kind of coming in the springtime do their studies. You can have 50, 80 people sometimes from various universities out on the hill.
Oh, right.
Right at the point where there's neckline nesting birds, red deer carving. It's kind of, that's been a real struggle to try and get universities to kind of work with us speak to them before you can, see what's going on, see this report, find out. You know, and they're not just there for a few days. It can be 7, 8 weeks in the same area every day. So the pressure that's on the environment is intense. But again, kind of not much you can do about it. You can speak to nature, but again, people have the right of access, and that's keep what you kind of keep getting told. Can you give me evidence that this is a negative impact? Well,
But it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? We have this we're sort of always in the negative press as being the ones destroying the habitats and killing all the wildlife and all the rest of it, and yet exactly what you've just said there, 80 people stomping around the hill, disturbing the ground nesting birds, disturbing the deer that are trying to calf and all the rest of it. That never gets mentioned in the press, ever comes out, and it's always blamed to the keepers as we make places devoid of wildlife.
Well, this is it, because as well as the disturbing that creates the ground nesting birds, the deer carving, the pushing of when you're pushing grazing animals away from the season, has a negative impact on their going through the summer into the winter time. But if you think about it as well, we have a resident of white-tailed eagles at nest every year and a resident golden eagle. Unfortunately, in this area that everyone wants to visit, then you are now disturbing the hunting ground. So what I've kind of noticed, along with, so if you've got your early students out en masse, add that to, we have a huge amount of parking businesses now, in that particular coastline as well, every day.
Yep.
And adding your normal kind of visitor who's looking at the landscape, that's a huge presence going on day after day after day after day. And one of the things that's kind of noticed with myself is where we had our resident whitetails would hunt shoreline, they would hunt out in the loch there, and on the other side, we've noticed in the last few years that they're hunting inland more and more and more. And this has put pressure on livestock at lambing time. And we've had the nest kind of empty to see what they're eating. And it's come back. The evidence has come back. There's actually a higher rate of lamb bones, other nests. Obviously, people say, but we don't know if they're healthy or already dead. All right. But the fact that they're hunting more inland, that kind of proves it. So it's trying to get people to understand that just being out like that has an impact. You may not see it because you're there and then you're gone again, but it happens because you're not going to be the only person there. There's another 20, 30 like you and over day after day after day. So the pressure just now in certain areas, especially on Skye, is and it's kind of the elephant in the room no one wants to talk about. And what we often see is, especially in the north end of the island, it's hotspots, as people like to call it. These were never hotspots before. They were never tourist attractions. These are just things that people do as part of our landscape here. We operate as a kind of image that we made and created. So it's like what the knock-on effect on that is social media, everybody starts going to these places. Now it's where the point that many of these kind of beautiful areas now have massive car parks concentrated all the way through them. It's really industrialized, commercialized places now. So it's lost it. They have lost the charm that people think. They're not quite the areas anymore.
I was going to say mostly Skye was like single track with passing places, but you see some of the photos and you've got massive great buses trying to get down these tiny tracks and churning up the sides of the roads, which aren't really big enough anyway to pass two vehicles along. And and the people will come, as you exactly just as said, they're there for their couple of hours or their day, and I didn't see any wildlife. But when you see it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you can see the effect that all of this is having. And it's a shame, really.
It really is this kind of thing, like you just said there, that talk about plastic waste, plastic transport, plastic being left up in our shores, and it is, the evidence there, it's all true. What people don't see is, I mean, you hear this phrase, leave nothing but footprints. That's all right, but if it's 100,000 pairs of footprints, that's a negative effect. Just having masses of people, they may not be dropping litter. They may be actually really good at accessing the landscape. But there's too many people, that's a negative straight away. People are not kind of understanding the negative of over-tourism of the site. So it's kind of, that's one thing I've been passionate to talk about and push over the years, that over-tourism bad, it's not worse than.
Well, it's got worse because of obviously the films, and everybody just wants to go and stand by this bit of hillside to take that photo to say, oh look, I'm in the same place that they filmed this movie or that movie. And I think those people have no concept of the environment around them. They're there on their tourist trip and they've seen the bit they wanted to see, and it doesn't matter that they've trodden on some wildlife or move something on. For them, they've got their photo to post on social media, and on they go.
Yeah, I mean, what's always amazed me, I mean, I live in one of these hotspots, and what has always amazed me is change the mindset of people when they come. Clearly not down, but their behaviour suddenly becomes down. And it's a phenomenon I've never been able to understand. And yeah, you kind of, you never act like that in your normal everyday. I mean, I've had people walking off the hill or walking from the lane down up my drive, urinate on the drive, because it was a convenient, supposedly a convenient spot to walk out the way. Many times. And people walking through the property, looking through your windows, pulling up on your drive to start taking pictures of your house, pictures of landscape from your house. An invasion of kind of your privacy. I mean, drones filming you where you're playing and things like that down over your head. It's kind of invasion of privacy, invasion of the environment. And even people just almost switch off from reality and visit these places.
Yeah, almost like they think your house is part of the film set, kind of thing.
Yeah, it almost becomes normal. But I've had people, we've been Saturday evening in the summertime, just in the kitchen, and this comes to the box, like you just start seeing people, groups of people looking through windows, and you think, and then looking for a house or something. And you go out and engage with them, and they say, oh no, just a window about you, that's it. And that really kind of knocks you back. You decided to walk through this property, looking through my windows, or what? And it's amazing just how people think that's acceptable. But when you role reverse and you ask them, if I just suddenly open your front door and start looking at your face, well, you can't do that. It's acceptable when they come here. And they can't understand when you get a little bit irate about it.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're a tourist destination, and as far as they're concerned, you must be part of the tourist scene, kind of thing. But yeah, you imagine doing that on their streets and just popping into their front door and looking through their window. God, the police should be there.
and when we've had community meetings about these kinds of issues, it's not within our remit. Like you say, you do that in Edinburgh, Glasgow, you'd be arrested. But yeah, it's a kind of strange one. I mean, the line I often get checked at me when I'm asking people whether it's out in the landscape, just to be mindful of where they're going, or ask them to take a different route because of your forecast. The line I often get thrown at me is, we're spending our money here, so you need to be grateful for our thinking because you have nothing else to do.
Yeah, I think that's a very I think that's a very naive look, because people just have no that they're I think the UK in its own, and we've made it that there is nothing else that happens in the countryside. Yes, you've got farming and that's smelly, but there's no other industry. Whereas if they actually knew the amount of money that field sports actually generates for Scotland, I think most people would be quite shocked.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's engaging people. Yeah, I've often met people down the hill. You do get some people that go, really very apologetic. Mortified that they might have been disturbing your working day. They kind of ask, well, where do you shoot the deer? And then we manage the deer for X, Y, and Z, and income and jobs. And if you've exercise, and it's served in our hotel just over the way there, so please stop in. And they go there thinking, oh, I just thought we needed to be able to be able to achieve that. That's what they've read and what they've heard. So so you do get some people kind of will engage and take a positive about it, but unfortunately, there's still many to preconceived idea of the right to roam and the domestic gamekeeper working for the laird lackey, and everyone enjoying themselves.
Yeah, it's so difficult, and I think the right to roam policy. It's we have many problems with that, with people just randomly wandering through fields. I'm all for access, but sometimes you just need to be more sensible about where your access is, or even just ask the estate manager or something like that, where can I walk on this type of year, or this type of moor at this time of year.
Yeah, I'm a great believer with engagement. I always try to push that, but it's far better if you're coming to visit an area, you want to visit a walking. If you've made all the effort to find the routes and the way you want to go and what's on the way, then it's not then another huge route to find out who owns the land, who's on there, find out what's going on. Because if you've done all that prep beforehand, it's simple Google of where you're going, who to contact. It's not that hard in this day and age. I've come to understand now that actually it's not actually the visitor who is the problem. They may be the end product of a negative impact, but it's not them that actually problem. It's our tourist operators, our tourist board, it's our policymakers who are encouraging. You'll be in the operator, your hotel operator, says, come here, you can do this here, you can. That's where the problem lies, because they're telling them they can come here and do what they like, giving them the fact of what there are things you have to adhere to. But for me, that's where the problem lies. That's why I've been kind of targeting my efforts to actually encouraging you the ones to educate and have all the information then to pass on to the so it's kind of I've done the views around the weeds that people feel actually at sometimes, but if they're told they can.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, that's a business. They're going to try and sell the dream because they get more people on it. So again, it's lack of education in terms of the tourist companies, but they're never going to change their ways because they make sales, and as far as they're concerned, that's that. We could probably go on for hours about this, as it's one of those things that I think it probably bugs everybody that tries to work in Scotland on in field sports, because it's just one of those things. But So last question, obviously, yeah. Going forward, I asked you with anything new. Just we'll get one more. Yeah. What will you be at the rest of the game fairs, like the Scottish Game Fair and stuff like that this year?
Yes, I'm going to be at the skiing this year. I'm going to head down after the Scottish show. Actually, I'll be at the Northern in Harrogate. Always like that show there. That's great to meet and greet people and sort of a few and place the border. Then I'll be heading to skiing after Shed, Scottish Game Fair. I'm supposed to do it that one for WCG again this year with Under yeah, I always enjoy that one. That's a great one too. It's nice traditional kind of game fair. And then do the big one, the game fair down at Welcome. For the game box. Great place to see lots of people and see what's going on. And so many people treat that one as a kind of a weekend away now. But, yeah, I try and pick as many of the biggest shows as I can, doing various things in between big work. So yeah, I do enjoy it. It gives me a chance to get away.
So socialise with people rather than just looking at the hillside all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of, I'm a kind of person that I don't want to get stale. So if I can get away, cast my eyes over a different landscape, speak to different people, because I spend a huge amount of time on my own out on the hill, and it can be a lonely place at times. You get a sense of isolation, so it's great then. For me in the summer, it's my kind of rest busier time, the opportunity to do these shows, and really, I started going to the shows, and the whole social media thing was to really promote your space and what we do, and kind of get people to come. Where that's going legs now that our Gamekeeper thing is going in many different directions, and so yeah, but now with the shows is I've got a lot of people to do chats, talks, events, these kind of things throughout the days at the show. So yeah, and that's really been off the back of the successful Skye Gamekeeper awards and things.
Fantastic.
Platform to talk about things that happen.
Oh, that's great. Well, yeah, it's great, and it's great for the industry for somebody like yourself that's got the Gamekeeping Award to get out there, meet people, talk to people. They get to see the face of the award at the end of the day, because most people probably just have seen you on social media, but actually you are quite a personable chap, because I remember bumping into you at the Stalking Show and we just had a good old natter for a while. So yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. I think we'll probably draw this to a close here. Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Enjoyed it.
I hope you all enjoyed that. Sorry again about the audio quality. It's not to my usual standard, but I decided that the actual recording was that good. It was definitely something I didn't want to waste. So hopefully you managed to listen to most of it. Thank you for listening again, and we'll catch you in the future.